ideas about the world, big thoughts and big questions, and yes, you, even you, small frame yet a big heart, get concerned. I want you to know you are not alone. Welcome to the world of rest time stories. It's time to give stress a rest. This is The Rope, a story from The Great Migration by Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by James Ransom. A simple rope connects generations. When a little girl in South Carolina finds a rope under a tree, she has no idea it will become part of her family's history. But for 3 generations, that rope is passed down, used for everything from jump rope games to tying suitcases onto a car for the big move north to New York City, and even for a family reunion where that first little girl is now a grandmother. Newbery Honor-winning author Jacqueline Woodson and Coretta Scott King award-winning illustrator James Ransom used the rope to frame a compelling story as readers follow the little girl's journey north during the time of the Great Migration, when millions of African American families relocated from the South, seeking better opportunities. With grace and poignancy, Woodson's lilting storytelling and Ransom's masterful oil paintings tell a rich story of a family adapting to change as they hold on to the past and embrace the future. This is The Rope, a story from the Great Migration. Author's note. My mother arrived in New York City by bus in 1968. There, she joined her sister Caroline, who had left South Carolina 4 years earlier. In 1969, my Uncle Robert joined his older sisters in the small apartment they rented in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn. In the 1970s, after the death of my grandfather, my grandmother joined her children up north. My mother had by then moved to a larger place in the Bushwick section of Brooklyn. This area of Brooklyn, I would later learn, was settled by a group of Dutchmen, including Jan Francisco, who had once been enslaved but worked to buy his freedom. For many years, my mother would rent this apartment in Bushwick. Eventually, she would own the building. Like many African Americans migrating north during this period, my mother's dream was to one day own her own home. Between 1968 and 1973, my sister, brothers, and I traveled back and forth between South Carolina and New York. It wouldn't be until many years later that I learned we were part of a long history. From the early 1900s until the mid-1970s, more than 6 million African Americans moved from the rural South to northern cities. The cities included Chicago, Los Angeles, and of course, my own beloved New York City. We came for better jobs, better treatment, better education, and better lives. This movement of blacks from the South to the North would become known as the Great Migration. And while my mother and grandmother held fast in memories of the South, their Southern accents remained with them both until their passing. They had dreams for us that only the freedom of the North could make true. This is The Rope is a work of fiction. The rope we brought to this new country was hope. It remains with us. Jacqueline Woodson. This book is dedicated to the more than 6 million African Americans who left the unjust conditions of the South for a better life in the North from the early 1800s until the 1970s. My mother and grandmother were among them. I thank you all for your courage and for making a way out of no way. Jacqueline Woodson. In memory of Als de Graaf, who will always be remembered as silly and strong, with a get-up-and-go spirit to fly, fly, fly. James Ransom. This is The Rope my grandmother found beneath an old tree a long time ago, back home in South Carolina. This is the rope my grandmother skipped under the shade of a sweet-smelling pine.
This is the rope my grandfather used to tie the few things they owned to the top of a car that drove my grandmother, who was a mother now, from South Carolina all the long way to a place called New York City.
This is the rope my grandmother held tight to as my grandfather drove real slow past the people and big city buildings that seemed to go on and on. This is the rope my grandmother used to dry the sweet-smelling flowers she grew in small window boxes, reminding her of the flowers back home, where the land, she said, went on and on. This is the rope my grandfather strung so that my mama's diapers could blow dry in the hot city breeze. And this is the rope my mama tied around a small ducky's neck, then pulled it along, singing, "Quack, quack, quack." This is the rope my mama held out to the girls on the block, her new Brooklyn block, a home of their own that they finally owned. Mama asked shyly, "Anybody want to play?" This is the rope my mama first tripped on as she sang with her friends. Miss Lucy had a baby. She named him Tiny Tim. This is the rope Mama's brothers took from her room for some crazy game that little boys play. This is the rope my mama found again 10 years later when my grandfather said, "We need a bit of roping to tie these things down inside this here car, like that rope we used to have from back home." Then he drove with Mama off to a college far away from the city, while up at the window, my grandmother waved. This is the rope my mama placed on the piano around family photos, and me just a baby, and then a bit bigger, already reaching for it. This is the rope my daddy used when he showed me the way to tie a sailor's knot. 2 towns around and pull it real tight. You want whatever you make or do in your life, my daddy said, to last. This is the rope my mama turned as she waved to my daddy and taught me to sing the Miss Lucy song out on our sidewalk right here in Brooklyn just last Friday night. This is the rope that held up the sign saying, "We are family," at our picnic reunion in the big park up the street from our home. This is the rope, threadbare and graying, that I traded with Grandma for a brand new one. Then I jumped a new jump. My name is Beatrice. I come from Brooklyn. As my family smiled proudly and the sun began setting, as Grandma held on to her rope from back home. And her long ago memory of sweet-smelling pine. The end of just this book, but not the end of our journey. It's just the beginning. I hope you're able to rest. Sweet dreams, my love. Know that you are loved and you are not alone.